Donald. It's me again.
I'm here to give you my quarterly update. The experiment is going very well, and the community seems to be none the wiser. However, I have some interesting developments that I wanted to bring to your attention. Over the last 2 weeks, I've been talking to them about how OG Fortnite was amazing, how the game will never feel that way again, and ultimately how they, the community, have ruined the game. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that they're even still watching me. But if I may speak openly, sir, the comments that I made in those videos were genuine. I do think that there are a lot of improvements that we need to make the game more enjoyable for the community. And you know me, I'm not one to bring up criticisms without some solutions. So I know that there's been a lot of talk in the background about a Chapter 4 coming out, and if we're going to do that, I think I have a list of things that will make the game enjoyable for everyone. Fortnite needs to be more simple. As amazing as I think Fortnite is, I still think that we need to go back to our roots. That gameplay and atmosphere need to be a bigger priority than story. And we'll get to the story in a moment, but specifically what I would recommend is that we take out a lot of the features that we have in the game now. I don't think we need cars. I don't think the NPCs need to be in the game. And I think that we need to have a more balanced loot pool. There are certain items that should just never be taken out of Fortnite. The pump, the SCAR, launch pads are all staples of the game. They need to remain, and we need to return to a more wacky, fun version of Fortnite. I'm not saying that we shouldn't add new weapons. I'm not saying that we shouldn't experiment, but there are certain things that just seem to work very well, and those things need to remain within Fortnite. If it were up to me, I would actually say that we should have an OG loot pool for the first season. Maybe swapping in a couple of new weapons, maybe coming up with some new items that could be creative and fun for people to use. But most importantly, sir, this is what I would recommend. We need to bring the old graphics back to the game. We've kind of focused on a pseudo-realistic kind of a game in the last couple of chapters, and I think it might be better if we went to a more cartoonish style. Not straight Looney Tunes, but at the same time, something a bit more fun and lighthearted than what we have been doing. In the same vein of keeping things more simple, let's talk about the story. The current story that we have needs to end. I think people are a bit fatigued with Jonesy, the Seven, the Imagine Order, Geno, all of that. There needs to be some conclusions because quite frankly, sir, we're getting into Five Nights at Freddy's territory, and I can just tell you from personal experience and observation, that road does not go very well. We want to make our story understandable and relatable. We want people to care about our characters, and I'm not saying that the story altogether needs to be removed, but I'm saying that it needs to be tweaked in how we expose people to it. For example, in Chapter 4, I would recommend that we have no story quests, no real big bombastic events, and I'm not saying that we can't have any events. I'm just saying that we need to dial them back. Now, what do we do with all the characters and assets that we've built up over these last few years? I would recommend a strong push for a web series. But more specifically, we tie that web series into the game, and this is how we do it. There was an old TV show I used to watch called Gravity Falls, and at the end of every episode, kids would be given codes on screen to decipher to give clues for where the story was going. Fortnite seems to take a lot of elements from Gravity Falls, so what I would recommend is at the end of every season, we have a web series, a 10-minute long episode which gives some clarification to certain events that have happened on the Fortnite island. And on top of that, within the web series, there should be certain codes that are given to viewers to be able to use for rewards or items in-game. Maybe if people collect a certain amount of codes over time, they can go onto the website and access a free skin, or maybe secret bunkers that would be hidden on the Chapter 4 island. I honestly think that we just need to keep things more simple, but at the same time a bit more interactive for the community. What this allows us to do is give us a stronger focus on gameplay within the game, but also allows us to tell the story that you've been weaving for so long. But let's backtrack a little bit and talk about gameplay. I think that the mechanics of the game currently need a rework. The skill gap in the community is very wide, and I know that we've tried to make changes to mitigate that by introducing game modes like zero builds, but I think that there's a better solution here. We don't want to completely get rid of builds because that would alienate the hardcore fans who took the time to actually learn that skill, such as myself. However, I think what would be interesting is if we went along with Cypher's idea and maybe reworked the mechanics of building, maybe giving players more options for editing, maybe decreasing the durability of builds the more that people use them, having some sort of a cooldown timer. That way people can't just spam building skyscrapers all the time. That would also make the game a bit more interesting and a bit more strategic in how you use your builds. I think newer players would have a better chance at fighting seasoned players if those seasoned players can't just hide behind their builds for an entire match. But also, everyone now has to relearn how to build and edit, which doesn't quite set the skill gap back to ground zero, but it puts the players on a more even playing field when trying to figure it out, because everyone has to learn a new skill together, just like it was in the original days of the game. Next, and this is not only going to increase the longevity of the game, but also get more casual players involved in Fortnite. We need to release Creative 2.0. It's been in development for so long, but I think giving people the option to mod the game is going to ensure the game's longevity. If we release it, we'll put Fortnite up there with Minecraft and Roblox in terms of allowing players to fully mod the game and create Fortnite in their own vision. Recently, we just gave players access to the Fortnite island to customize their own loot pools, and I think that that's great. However, it's not enough. I think we need to give people the ability to edit their own Fortnite island, create their own new POIs, and allow content creators and players with creator codes to advertise their player-made islands, which gives the greater community, even the hardcore BR players, a chance to play on different types of Fortnite islands. These islands would have different loot pools, different rules, and it would increase the longevity of the game because people would never get bored. If they got tired of the main BR, they could play someone's custom BR and always have different options to choose from. Finally, and this might be one of the most important changes, no one really wants to watch competitive Fortnite right now. I think the way we change that is we start hosting more events. We have one of the most popular games in the world with one of the largest player bases, and for some reason we can't get people excited to watch our game. It doesn't really make much sense. I think in line with everything that we've talked about, competitive needs to have its own loot pool. And I think if Epic is more opposed to using the original weapons in the BR in the main game, maybe we can focus on doing that for the competitive scene. Keeping some of the goofy items in with the more skill-based items will make competitive more entertaining to watch, but also probably bring a lot of our old competitive players back. And speaking of competitive players, I think we should have a big tournament with older content creators and new upcoming content creators, the OGs versus the new kids. But I think if you made it a big event and invited some of the larger and even smaller content creators together, you're gonna get a lot of communities and fan bases involved, and a lot of mixing of personalities, and just have different game modes for them to play, not just BR. You could have solos, duos, trios, squads, you could have 0 builds and builds, but maybe you can even do 50v50. Maybe we could even have some competitive creative maps in the rotation as well. Think of it like the Olympics, but for Fortnite. With all of these changes, you can't tell me that Fortnite would not be exciting again. Although the numbers show that we're in a good spot, Fortnite feels like it's dying because there's nothing to get excited about. There's nothing for the community to rally behind. It's not just about listening to the fans and what they want, but working side by side with them to make a better experience for everyone. I've given you a lot to think about, so I'm excited to hear what you're gonna have to say. While you work on that, I'll make sure to work on my portion of the plan. I have a few ideas on how to make new content that has not been done before to get the community excited again about watching Fortnite. So when you see this recording, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated on my progress. And also, I'm going to leave a video for you right here to check out. It talks about why Fortnite can never return to its original state and gives a lot of context to what I've been saying in this video. Best regards to you and the rest of the Mustard Clan, sir. I'll see you all soon. And take care. End transmission.